make, upon the invitation of the possible contemnor and his lawyers, and having admitted to the statement or one of the statements in question, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, we would have made a referral to the appropriate committee of parliament, which is the Committee on Privileges. Then we can proceed with our mandate, which is to vet. What we are doing, we are not vetting. With all due respect. And Mr. Chairman, there is nothing like a preliminary hearing in matters such as this. The committee, Chairman, please, may you rescue me? I'm being heckled. Chairman, my third point is that this committee itself has made a determination in pursuance of Order 40, Order 44, Order 32, Order 30, and Order 31 sub-rule H, that the contents that is the subject of this proceeding as we speak is already in contempt of court of parliament. So this matter must be disgorged and hived off to the Committee of Privileges. We are not mandated. We cannot. So the present exercise, however preliminary it is, for me, it's a journey to know.
The DACF allocations. Funds from the District Assembly's Common Fund have been directed towards building and renovating leprosy facilities, as well as providing consistent nutritional support for affected individuals in settlements. Mr. Speaker, the leprosarium in Wejagbawe currently needs a kitchen to that effect. Ongoing district interventions, efforts to stop the transmission of leprosy in all districts are actively underway. Mr. Speaker, despite this commendable advancement affecting vulnerable populations living in poverty, left unaddressed, it causes severe harm, leading to social and economic marginalization, Mr. Speaker. As members of Parliament, we have a duty to champion policies and allocate resources to eradicate leprosy in Ghana. I therefore urge the government to prioritize the following actions, Mr. Speaker. Increase the LEAP allocations daily, which is now 4 cedis, which we see as insufficient given the rising cost of living. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully call on the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to review and increase the amount to provide sustainable support for individuals affected by leprosy. We also need to sustain food assistance via the DACF. Many individuals impacted by leprosy rely on consistent food support through the DACF. This initiative must continue and should go on without any form of disruption. Mr. Speaker, we also need to enhance health subsidies. The government should provide increased financial support to institutions addressing leprosy-related complications, including disability prevention and management. Mr. Speaker, we also need to expand the National Health Insurance Scheme benefits. The National Health Insurance Scheme should be an other neglected tropical diseases, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the fight against leprosy is not merely a medical issue. It is also a matter of social justice and inclusion. Those affected by leprosy must not be subjected to stigma, discrimination, or economic disadvantage. As leaders, we must advocate for policies and programs that uphold the dignity, equity, and opportunities of all Ghanaians, irrespective of their circumstances, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend the individuals and organizations dedicated to combating leprosy. I express my deepest appreciation to Father Andrew Neilante Campbell for his unwavering commitment to this cause. His work continues to inspire hope and serves as a powerful example of what can be achieved when we serve humanity with compassion. Mr. Speaker, I also commend the very good works and efforts of His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the former Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who has strongly advocated for the welfare of persons affected by leprosy. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that in 2018, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia launched the Zero Leprosy Ghana Initiative, which aimed to eliminate leprosy in Ghana by 2030 and has consistently and constantly donated to support the Weija Leprosarium in my beloved constituency and in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, let us use this occasion to renew I extend my gratitude for this opportunity and make this statement. May divine blessings be upon our beloved Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me first and foremost identify you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My name is Dr. Othniel Eko-Kwenu.
May you speak up, please?
My name is Dr. Othniel Kwenu, and I represent the people of Ekumfi.
Please speak up. I'm still not hearing you well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my name is Dr. Othniel Eko-Kwenu, and I represent the people of Ekumfi. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement made by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, in my submission, I would like to dovetail a bit more into the world of people living with disability, not only for those with leprosy. Because, Mr. Speaker, for many years now, we can see the strides Ghana has made in terms of reducing people living with leprosy. However, if you juxtapose that with those living with disability, you can clearly see that the world of disability, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'm particularly excited with his submission, especially on the allocations that are being made on the LEAP program, as well as the benefits that they get in terms of the amount. Considering today's cost of living, which is very high, I think the 4 cities, it may even be worth to even consider increasing it a bit more. Mr. Speaker, I think that also in terms of the District Assembly's Common Fund allocation to especially people living with disability, it may be appropriate in terms of today's Ghana and our cost of living to also increase the amount, as well as look at ways of improving access to those funds in terms of people living with disability. Mr. Speaker, before I come to a close, I want to also commend President Mahama for his initiative to make sure people living with disability enjoy free university education to make them also good citizens of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Yes, let me come to Abuaka North. Is it Abuaka North?
The Speaker is Ekuapem North.
Ekuapem North, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Speaker, I will be glad to welcome you up the hill. So it's Ekuapem North, not Abuaka.
Then invite me specially.
Mr. Speaker, we will. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to contribute towards the statement made by the Honorable Member for Weija Gbawe, and also to further extend it beyond just leaving everything on the shoulders of government, but also inviting that of corporate bodies and well-meaning Ghanaians in the fight against eliminating leprosy. Once again, I also would like to extend it further to also situate it in the broader context on how people living with such diseases are marginalized in our society. If I take Ekuapem North, for instance, that's the only constituency with 2 special needs schools in Ghana: the school for the deaf and the school for the blind. Many a times, public places and institutions do not cater for persons living with even disability. Again, how they are also treated in public and how they are also sidelined in the decision-making process is also something worth taking a second look at. So as we talk about eliminating leprosy, which is also one of the neglected tropical diseases, I also would like this august house to also help support effort in making the situation of persons living with disability, at least, if not comfortable like ours, also for them to also have that decent living and support from all of us. And it's on this note that I associate myself and commend the works of even Father Campbell and Dr. Baumia for the effort that they have made over the years in moving beyond the stigma and supporting persons with such neglected diseases. But Mr. Speaker, I would like to also respectfully that you use your high office to help also champion the cause of the disabled and the special needs people in our country. In many of these public institutions, when you go, even the ramps for persons with disability to even get access to some of these high places, they are non-existent. And then also helping us fight the stigma associated with their condition. So yes, the honorable member from Wager has made this clarion call, but I would like to contribute further that we also consider the plight of these persons with disability as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Professor Bayo, you have spoken. Let me give the opportunity to the gentleman. No.
Thank you, Speaker.
I'll come to you. Let me give it to. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Your name and your.
I'm Thomas Anaba, Garu constituency.
Garu, very well.
Yes, please. I would like to associate myself with the presenter of the paper for calling on Ghanaians and bringing to light the challenges confronting people with disability, especially the leopards. It is true that being a leopard, you have a lot of social challenges because of the stigma, and many people do not tend to associate with you simply because of the fear they have in contracting the disease. But my challenge is, why do we still keep having this neglectable disease spreading now? It is perhaps possibly because of insufficient information within communities that we have a lot of people with leprosy. So I would call for the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health to intensify education in areas that we think leprosy is becoming more rampant and people are devolving it. I will also call on the government, just like they have called, to also increase the support they give to people living with disability, because in our communities, many of those who have disability depend on people like paupers begging around for every help, so that if they increase the District Assembly Common Fund, for which I know, and I have a lot of disabled people in my buttress their inability. I'll move back to the subject that we dealt with regarding the ambulance service, because it's dear to me. Dear to me because I live in a constituency that the government gave them an ambulance, but the ambulance has been broken down for almost a year. I had to buy an ambulance for the constituency. Meanwhile, we've heard of contracts being given for spare parts for ambulances packed, and we don't know where that money is, and we don't know where the spare parts are.
Honorable member, please. That is why.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, hold on. That is why at the beginning of the comment, I asked all of you to read 935. And if I'll have to read again to all of us, a member may comment on the statement for a period Hello, honorable members, please listen to me. Honorable Stephen Amwa, please. May comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes. My focus is not on that, and the comment shall not provoke debate. Please, those areas that will degenerate into angles of debate, please, let's eschew them. So, my brother, you may continue, but desist from that angle you are championing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. The importance of ambulances to Ghana is well known, and I think if we go back to July 2019, there was a report of 70 women dying in Eastern region for lack of ambulance. Perhaps thanks to those deaths, unfortunately, at least we saw reason in buying more ambulances for Ghana. And I'll pray that we are able to get more ambulances to help in the pre-hospital emergency care. Just like many of the contributors said, early treatment would save so many people from dying and getting complications, especially somebody who is bleeding from an emergency, somebody who has gotten a stroke. If you get a stroke and you are able to get to a hospital within 1 hour with a CT scan done, they are able to treat you very well, and 90% of those people will survive. If you get a heart attack and you are able to get to hospital, get basic life support and get to hospital within 1 hour, your chances of surviving is very, very high. So therefore, I would like to add to the call of my colleague that let's ensure that we get proper education to the general public. It shouldn't just be to offices. The National Ambulance Service, just like the National Fire Service is doing, go to offices, go to communities as part of their duties and train people on basic life support. That one alone can save a lot of people and a lot of lives in this country and a lot of complications. Also, we can also do what we call competition on TVs, because we see young people growing up in schools and the only clubs they join are religious clubs. There's nothing. You don't see anything regarding health. So I think that if we inculcate this thing in the youth, in the children, as they are schooling, they will learn how to do basic life support and then the rest. Also improving on the transport system and giving way for emergency vehicles to pass, because sometimes you see an emergency vehicle blowing horn and drivers don't have space to park for them to pass. So it will also call on the transport sector in the big cities like Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi, and the rest, for them to create a special lane for those vehicles to be able to pass in case we have enough ambulances for the country. So at this end, I will thank Mr. Speaker very much for allowing me to contribute to the debate.
Thank you very much. Now let me go to Odotobi. But honorable member, are you a first timer?
The speaker made it clear that we should all be part of the first timers. And Mr. Speaker, I have an interest in this statement.
Okay, you let me finish.
Thank you.
Honorable members, as to whether a former leader can be classified as a backbencher, I mean, we all live to see. Yes, honorable member for Dotobli.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I associate myself with the statement made by Honorable Member for Wejak-Bawe. Mr. Speaker, from the statement and from what I personally know, a lot is being done, and for that I commend the Ghana Health Service together with all individuals ensuring that this disease would leave our land, eradicate leprosy. I also commend them for the gains they've made in terms of monies being paid, etc. But then there's one aspect regarding people with disability that is being disregarded. We have laws protecting them. We have laws prohibiting discrimination against persons affected with leprosy, not just leprosy, with disability in general. We realize that when it comes to taking care of their health, a good job is done. They are sent through rehabilitation, etc. But then we haven't gotten to the point where we have eradicated leprosy and a lot of these disabilities, which means that laws like the Human Rights Act, laws like the Disability Act, please let the backbenchers be heard. Mr. Minister. Yes, so we have laws that we are not making good use of. And I mentioned two laws in particular. One is the Disability Act of 2006, Act 715. The other is the Human Rights Act 1999, Act 584. At the end of the day, after rehabilitation, my question is, those with this, leprosy, for instance, they don't have the opportunity to go to school. They don't have the opportunity to enjoy other facilities as I and you would be enjoying. So I would plead with the authorities involved. The laws are already in place. We should make sure that persons with disability also enjoy all the other benefits that those of us who do not have disability enjoy. How often do we see ramps when you get to most state buildings, private buildings, other facilities? Most of the times, persons with disabilities would need assistance to open the door, to go up the ladder, or to go into the elevator. So these laws are not being properly applied. I think persons in high authority have to take note of this. My last point is on the discrimination in terms of the stigma that is attached to disabilities. We would have to do more education to let everybody know that once you have a disability, it does not mean that you are not one of us. It doesn't make you any less human than those of us here in Parliament or outside Parliament. We are not doing enough education. I think we are focusing more on the eradication, but we still have persons with disability living with us. And if we are not careful, we will continue to have them living with us for a longer time. So let us begin to treat them with more respect, show more love to them, and apply the laws that have been made for their benefit, for their use. I'm very grateful.
Thank you very much. Is it a point of...
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of concern, and I want to draw your attention to it. You saw it yourself, but maybe you want to gloss over it. After the induction, especially the new members, they've been taking through orientation as to how to conduct themselves when they enter the chamber. We had a second timer just cross in front of the maid. Mr. Speaker, like he's cross carpet. And this is not the first and the last time. So if you don't enforce the rules, people will take it for granted that it's a normal practice in this house. Mr. Speaker, it's unacceptable. So if he has crossed carpet, he should announce it so that we'll give him a seat over here, so that we'll conduct a by-election. A second timer. You know, when they come and they are given ministerial position, they spend all their time at the ministry. They don't learn the rudiment of parliament. This is not the embarrassment they are causing everybody here. And Mr. Speaker, you saw it, and you were not happy with it. So let's begin apply sanctions. You were not here. So what do you want to speak to? When the incident happened, you were not here. Yeah. Go to appointment committee and vet nominees. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. We've taken notice of it. I think we will make appropriate announcement to that. Yesterday, I personally observed one, and I think we need to look at it. Once the maze is there, there's no way you can cross Is it the bar? Clerk? Is that you call the place a bar? Yes. Yes. So let me listen to you, my brother.
Speaker, I thank you. Speaker, I thank you for the uncommon opportunity Afajati South. And then I particularly, Mr. Speaker, I particularly wish to elect you for high praise for your relentless commitment to boosting the morale of those of us who are fresh in the House. We hope to step up the plate. Whilst at that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the maker of the statement, the respected MP for Wejagbawe, and to fully associate with the statement made. Mr. Speaker, literature has taught us that a staggering figure of 200,000 individuals have been infected annually by leprosy worldwide. This means that 200,000 more people are made potentially disabled each year. 200,000 people potentially face stigma each year. And I think as a world and a country, we must rise up to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, of crucial concern to me is our pretentious attitude as Ghanaians. In Ghana, the only name that is synonymous to leprosy is Reverend Father Andrews Campbell. Even a child in my village knows him, and they'll be able to tell you this is the Lone Ranger, or the only person who advocates relentlessly for issues concerning leprosy. Mr. Speaker, Father Campbell is an Irish and a Ghanaian at the same time. The question is, what happens to the rest of us? We can do more. We are a people who are highly religious, and yet we do not show so much compassion when duty calls. I call on all of us, especially respected honorable members of this august House, to do the needful. And Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we cannot, and I say we cannot, say that we are unable to find reliable and sustainable sources of funding for this particular disease. It is possible. This one, I must underline that this one alone is possible. It is possible for us as a Ghanaian.
Yes.
Thank you.
But you are part of majority.
Yes.
Majority.
Yes, on count.
Okay, yesterday I didn't give you the opportunity, eh? I'll give you the opportunity. Yes.
Thank you.
I shall return.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will admit that I'm not a backbencher, but I have a special interest in this statement because in the past, the whole northern zone, lepers are housed in Pandai. And we have one of the biggest leprosarium in a place called Nkanchina in the Pandai district. So it is this that is giving me the encouragement to also add my voice to the maker of the statement to say that these are a group of individuals that need a lot of attention. And I'll urge the House and Ghana as a whole to acknowledge the role Father Campbell is playing in assisting these lepers. If you go to Nkanchina, I would say they have one of the biggest shelter properly built by Father Campbell and his group. And they come to their aid almost every time. And I personally, when I was here and when I left, I always made sure that I contributed my quota for the survival of these people. Mr. Speaker, we all know lepers. Even in the Bible, they were discriminated against. And how much more we, those who are not religious like those days, that kind of attitude is causing a lot of pain when you visit the lepers. And sometimes, like the maker of the statements rightly said, they are part of the people that we support with this leap. And how much is it, Mr. Speaker? 4 Ghana cedis. For an adult, a grown-up adult, 4 Ghana cedis is woefully inadequate. And the assembly is supposed to be those giving them some kind of support. But, Mr. Speaker, I really don't see that much. I don't see that much. And I will wish to place on record that we all make a call, a big call, to the district assembly to try as much as possible to take care of these lepers. Else, sometimes when you visit them, their cry is just too much. And like the maker of the statement also rightly said, the health insurance scheme, they should try as much as possible to extend whatever assistance they can when these people are ill, so that they can easily access the various hospitals that are available, free of charge, because they cannot do anything for themselves. Absolutely nothing. Sometimes when you see them, they are completely off. They cannot hold anything important. So individuals like this, if government don't come to their aid, it will be very difficult for them to survive. On this note, the maker of the statement, let me thank you once again, and thank Mr. Speaker also for the opportunity to add my voice to this statement. I'm most grateful.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I think the invitation is to all of us. We are all invited to champion the cause of disabilities in general. It is very important. Let's show love towards them. I think in this particular circumstance, let me mention one of us, Honorable Crementa Park, who has taken it upon himself to champion disability cause. So let's help him, and let's help all other members we come across who are disabled. I think we will have our blessings from that. Thank you, Honorable Member for Weija Bawi. So, Leader of the House, should I continue with my course, or you want to make your statement first? I shall allow you to make your statement first. First, Hermes, I'll come back to you. The Leader of the House would like to make a statement, so I'll give the floor to him.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleague members of Parliament, since assuming office a week ago, my immediate attention has been on how to contribute towards the efforts of my predecessors and our Right Honorable Speaker, Sumana Alban Kingsford Bagbin, to strengthen the institution of Parliament by addressing the anxieties and concerns of members of Parliament when they fail to be re-elected or voluntarily decide not to run for office again. An institution is as strong as the individuals who populate that institution. Parliamentarians who know they are well catered for when they retire will be difficult to bribe and improperly influence. They can devote their attention to work and put up their best for their constituents and country. They will make Ghana great again. They can more adequately resist pressure from lobbyists and certain interest groups. So on the basis of that, I am proposing to this House for us to design a pension scheme that will cater to the needs of parliamentarians when they decide not to run for office again, or they run but they lose their elections and they are no longer here in this House. Mr. Speaker, it is a noble thing to decide to serve your constituency in this House, and sometimes people serve for a very long time, and in my instance, I was here since 20 years ago. I know of colleagues in this House who have been here for the past 24 years, and yet those people leave this House without an adequate pension arrangements to cater for their needs so that they can live in dignity when they leave this House. There's a perception that we are all very rich and we are well-to-do. But many of you in this chamber know that that is far from reality. There are many of us who are not that well-to-do and haven't prepared very well before coming to this House and have had a difficulty throughout their stay in this House maintaining their constituencies and themselves. And yet, we don't have a pension scheme that caters for MPs when they leave this House. Some MPs leave this House and within months, sometimes not years, most MPs leave this House and within a very short period of time, when you meet colleagues outside this House, they are in a very miserable and deplorable state. And sometimes, whilst here, out of our meager resources, we will have to be extending support to our colleagues who unfortunately couldn't make it to return to this House. Some parliaments have mechanisms and schemes that they use to support parliamentarians. And so we are looking at establishing a committee of this House to look at all the available models of schemes that are used as pension schemes for parliamentarians when they finally leave this House. We have models in the UK. The UK has a Pensions Act, an MP's Pensions Act, which has a scheme that has a benefit package for MPs. It is drawn out of contributions from individual members of parliament, and then contributions from the Exchequer, and then they have different benefit packages for MPs depending on how long they have stayed in the House and at what age they have retired out of parliament. We also have a model not far away on the African continent in Kenya. And Kenya also has a model that is partly funded from the state coffers and then contributions from members of parliament. Here in Ghana, we want to establish a scheme, but we don't want the pensions of members of parliament to become a burden on the taxpayer. And so we are proposing to design an MP's pension scheme that is going to be funded from carbon credits, revenues from carbon credit. We believe that the carbon credit market is one that has not been fully explored by Ghana. And so if we put in place the right infrastructure for carbon credit markets, and we put members of parliament in charge of ensuring that all the policies and programs that enable Ghana to gain so much from trading in carbon credit in the international market, some of those revenues can go into the pension fund of members of parliament. And because members of parliament will be benefiting enormously from that fund, then all members of parliament, including past members of parliament, will become more devoted to all the measures that need to be put in place in order to deal with emission challenges, carbon emission issues, and environmental sustainability policies and programs, ensuring that we become a greener economy, ensuring that we diversify our energy sources, and ultimately all that would earn us more carbon credits. And in the process, we'll be gaining more money from the carbon credit revenues, and then with our commitment to put some of it in the pension fund of members of parliament, parliamentarians will be able to retire on a very decent pension. Mr. Speaker, this is the proposal that I have for this House, and I want to move that this House considers and adopts this proposal for us to set up a committee which will study all the available options, bring us concrete proposals for us to set up an MP's pension fund scheme that draws resources largely from carbon credit revenue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you very much, Leader of the House. Yes. This time around, I may invite members who are seniors. Not to say I wouldn't invite any newcomer, but this discussion is very inclusive. So let me give the opportunity to what?
Speaker, just by way of guidance, let's agree on the number of contributors. Yes, it's important. You just spoke as a freshman. Now you are up as a senior. Speaker just recognized you as... Okay, you've abandoned that. Okay. So, Speaker, because it's such a major policy statement, let me pray that we do 3-3. 3-3, yes. It's a major.
Well. 3-3, then I'll give the final to the leadership. So, Honorable Patrick Boama, let's start with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make some comments on the statement ably made by the Leader of Government Business and the Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, it's a good call from the Leader of the House for members to continue to discuss issues about their pensions. Mr. Speaker, in his statement, he rightly attributed the fact that the public out there believe that members of parliament are rich. Yes, they have a right to believe so, because of the way we also carry ourselves out there. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, it's also primarily because of the way our parties also organize our parliamentary primaries. The kind of resources we are able to marshal and mobilize to go and win primaries, the distribution of items, also gives credence to the fact that we are a rich class. Mr. Speaker, we also need to watch that. Mr. Speaker, the public doesn't even know that the car loans we take are deducted from us, our salaries, and our source, and that we make the right contributions towards the cars that we drive, and that the Member of Parliament pays his or her driver, and it comes from the same salary, unlike other Article 71 office holders who enjoy all those benefits, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the public also don't know that some MPs, right from day one, mortgage their salaries or their earnings, take facilities to undertake some of the projects or developments within the constituency. It is clear and must be known. Mr. Speaker, the leader has proposed a scheme based on the UK Pensions Act, or scheme for members of parliament, and also he's thinking on the lines of the Kenyan model. He's also proposing that we look at carbon emissions or carbon credit to fund ours. It's a matter of policy for the government to decide whether the government is going to support this policy, because to trade your carbon is a matter of the executive taking that decision. We as a House cannot on our own take that decision. It has to be a proposal from the Leader of Government Business, who is not a Minister of State, and I recommend that the President Mahama makes him a Minister of State. He has done 40-something, so adding Honorable Ayariga as a minister to carry that weight, to present a proposal on behalf of members of parliament to his cabinet to enable us have that backing of the executive to be able to trade in carbons to fund our pensions. Mr. Speaker, you know, former colleagues will come to you and ask for, I don't want to mention the amount, 200 cedis to buy their medication. You'll be surprised. And it's a very important call. We've been talking about these issues, but the action ought to commence now. And I'll commend the leader for making this very important statement, his maiden one and a weighty one as such. And I wish him the very best in the roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Let him give it to Honorable Samson.
Thank you very much.
This time I haven't heard the voice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to what the majority leader has put forward. And I want to, first of all, commend him highly. I can see that he's ready to work. Because for him to come out with this laudable proposal, I only pray that he has started very well. God will be with him to continue so that he will take care of the condition of honorable members. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the Article 71 groups, the judicial people, when they go on retirement from the High Court, Appeal Court, to the Supreme Court, they all go on retirement on their salaries. As soon as a High Court judge is appointed, the state hired a driver for him, provide him with fuel, and so on and so forth. But same cannot be said for members of parliament. You are elected as member of parliament, and you have to employ your own driver, pay him or her from your meager salary that is given to you. When you go on retirement, you are at the mercy of God. Whether how you survive, nobody cares. Mr. Speaker, so I think that this is very, very important, and it is timely that we look at this thing critically. And I'm sure former MPs who are here, from time to time, our former colleagues come to this parliament, and you see their situations, their conditions, very horrible. Some of them even manage to buy their daily drugs. It's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, even though we opted to come and serve, now it's becoming like a sin to offer yourself to serve as a member of parliament. Look, the whole of last 8 parliaments, our salaries were never increased. Our salaries were never increased. We have to live on the previous parliament salaries. And I'm sure non-parliament too is going to continue. As we are here now, we don't know how much we are going to earn in the form of salaries. So why should we be treated this way? So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we should take this matter seriously, and that committee should be constituted today, to start work today, now, so that we'll know how much we're going to contribute towards it, and allow the state to also provide a seed fund, sort of, so that at least we are assured that tomorrow, if you are no more in parliament, there is something for you to live on. Mr. Speaker, I have been here for 20 years already. I've been here for 20 years, but I don't have any security. If I should leave parliament today, I don't have any security to guarantee how I'm going to survive in this country. So I want to commend Harry, the majority leader, for this proposal. All of us must embrace it and ensure that it comes to realization, so that tomorrow, today is not, you are in parliament, so you think that you don't need it. But don't forget, the way that you came here, in the same way that you live here. So let's all come together and then support this proposal, so that tomorrow, when we are not more in parliament, we can also get something to survive on. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and thank Majority Leader for this proposal. Let's all welcome it and accept it and support it, so that at the end of the day, we have something ahead of us when tomorrow we are no more members of parliament. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honourable members, I saw a lot of people trooping in. Is it because of the topic? This gentleman just came in and he is on. Okay, you hold on. I'll come to you. But please, let's be guided. We are an arm of government. Let's fight for our own. It is better than to try to insinuate to other areas. Let's please focus on our path. Let's focus on our path and probably fight for our own. Yes, I'll come to you. Let's give to Honorable Kwaku.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what the majority leader put across isn't a proposition anybody would want to oppose. And when I listen to members who have spoken to his statement, we all agree that some form of pension scheme would be good for members of parliament. When the majority leader spoke, he did make reference to a committee systems of reference, any reference to carbon credit, so that when a committee sits with the executive, they will be able to give us a way of financing it that is fair, a way of financing it that is fair, and that is consistent across the public sector. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me give our mother. Honorable Ladi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, but I could be called our sister. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by my brother and then the leader of government business. Mr. Speaker, it is a very important and laudable statement he has made. And just as earlier commenters might have said, when you sit here, you actually do not see the situation as long as you continue to be an MP. It is when you meet some of our colleagues that reality will dawn on you. Some have actually died out of poverty. Some have had certain issues that are such that they cannot even come back to this house to complain. And one of my colleagues across the aisle said it. Some of these issues are created by ourselves, because when you live a certain lifestyle, you try as much as you can to support those that are outside. Sometimes you go a borrowing to support them. Some of them believe that you take so much money or you get so much money. Mr. Speaker, take it or leave it. It is believed that we have money to the extent that, after all, we are supposed to do whatsoever is needed by our constituents and, for that matter, other persons within society. But it's most unfortunate
Our businesses, some of us, our businesses die naturally when we become MPs. Because once you put someone there to take care of your business while you are here, the person has found a gold mine. Excuse me. The person would have found a gold mine, thinks that after all you have the money, you can get it. Oh, let me go on. By the time this woman or this MP comes back, I should have put up a house, I should have a car, and I should have all the basic necessities that I think are needed, which is very bad. Mr. Speaker, I want us to note that even some constituents believe that we are giving money to go into elections. I can assure you, people will make these statements and you will be shocked. Whether primaries or general elections, we must make sure that we let this go out there that nobody gives another person money to go campaigning, whether primaries or general elections. And also, one big problem, our vehicles, the V8s that we have, people believe that we are giving for free. If you go to Parliament, you will get a V8. They do not know that our salaries are being used. As for fuel, oh, that one, when you go to any fuel station, you will just go and fill your tank and begin going. So what is your problem? We have coupons and we have even the power to go and say we should be giving fuel. Mr. Speaker, please, we shouldn't let this rest. We shouldn't let it be go to sleep on the shelves again. Just as my colleague has suggested, let us have, I will suggest that we should have a 7-member committee to look into this matter, make its recommendations, and ensure that we take it up. We cannot we shouldn't limit the sources of funding or where monies will be coming from. They should look at it broadly. Wherever monies will come from, we should be supported. So that at the end of the day, MPs will not leave this house after 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 years, and then they go a-begging. So, Mr. Speaker, once there will be many others who will be coming up, I will suggest that we look at this issue critically and take it up. However, the issue of our salaries should be looked at so that we will know what we are taking. If you are taking 20 Ghana cedis at the end of the month, you know what you are going to spend that 20 Ghana cedis on. But you cannot be living on foreign aid, and good luck. Sometimes you go a-begging, which is not the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement.
Thank you very much. Let me come to Kojo Oponkroma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the leader of government business for the statement and the request that a committee be set up to look into this matter of pensions for members of parliament. The leader is showing that apart from a lot of litigation on the standing orders that he will be doing, he will also have a lot of interest in welfare. Leader, may you live long. Mr. Speaker, I think what we need to do is to allow the committee to go and consider the options. And as was mentioned by the Honorable Kweku Kwatin, refrain from tying the committee's hands in any way. Particularly also because the truth is that when it comes to matters of facilities or welfare of any of the arms of government, sometimes it's very easily misinterpreted. So I think we should allow the committee to go and do its work and come up with recommendations. But to the extent that some preliminary suggestions have been made on the floor, please permit me to disagree with some of my colleagues. This is an arm of government. Our conversation should not be about some other arm of government underwriting or supporting what this arm of government seeks to do. In fact, I dare say that our conversation should be that the matters under Article 71(1), when it comes to determining the conditions of service of a member of parliament, should rather be expedited so that there's clarity on what your compensation is as a member of parliament early enough. And out of that, you take responsibility for your own pension arrangements. We are asking ordinary people, business people, civil servants to plan for their financial future and to take responsibility out of their own salaries for taking up whether life insurance policies or other things. So instead of worrying about which arm of government is coming to or should be invited to come and provide seed money or underwrite or support us, I think, let's leave it to the committee to go and do their work. But specifically because some of these suggestions have come up, I think we should be focused rather on urging the leader of government business and the government to inform the president to deal with Article 71(1) expeditiously, so that it's not at the end of your term as a member of parliament that your salary is determined and then made as a lump sum paid for you. How are you going to pay your premiums for your pension? Rather have it done expeditiously. Then you as MP, you know clearly that your salary is 4,000 or 5,000 cedis. And if you are underwriting a pension scheme and you are paying your premium for it, you know how much you are deducting and paying. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a good request by the leader, but I think we should let the committee go and do its work. And I think that we should focus as a House, as members of Parliament, on getting our conditions of service right, and out of that, we pay our premiums and get our pension. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, once I see Honourable Collins Dowda, I'm duty bound to call him. Is it 8th or 9th offer? You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support to the statement ably made by the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, the statement is proposing the setting up or establishment of a pension scheme for members of parliament. And when I listened to him, he said it's too good to attract protracted debate. The maker of the statement says that a committee should be set up to look into the nitty-gritties of it. And then a report will be generated for the whole House to take a look at it. Mr. Speaker, I wish I had made a member of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I make this request because I have been in this parliament before, I'm still here, and I have the experience of being a member of parliament. I've been out of parliament. I have the experience of being out of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we are out of parliament, the baggage that you carry when you are a member of parliament, if you are not lucky, outside parliament, you say carry that baggage. There are constituents who get so attached to you that they will never let you go. They will come with their school fees. When their relatives die, they will come to you to buy coffins, to bury their relations for you. So, if this pension scheme is established, it will cushion any member of parliament who exits. And so for me, I would plead with Mr. Speaker to bring this debate to a close and get the committee established with me as a member of the committee So I can guide very well the experiences of a member of parliament and as a non-member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much. And I urge you humbly to allow the committee to be established. Thank you very much.
Yes. Let me give the opportunity to a first-timer who, for obvious reasons, is also part of the group. It's like Honorable Collins Dada started from 1993 and is still here. So let's also get the side of someone who has just entered. So, Honorable, is it Mahama?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And let me also commend the Leader of the House, the Honorable Mahama Ayerga, for that insight. Starting on that note means that there is hope for those of us who have just joined. Will be cared for, will be looked out for, and then our welfare would be actually be considered by the House moving forward. Mr. Speaker, the issue about pension for members of parliament couldn't have come better for me. And as a newcomer, I've started feeling that life is not going to be easy if I'm not able to have a secured pension after whatever tenure I have served in this house. And the leader bringing this up means that we need to take it seriously, except to say that, associating with the point made by Honorable Koku Kwatan, that we should leave it open and a committee can be set for the purpose of determining the financing without prejudice to Order 262 of our standing orders, which provides for ad hoc committees. There is also a committee of the House Committee, which deals with matters of welfare of members. Order 222 of our standing orders makes provision for that. And I would think that we should rather defer the issues about the welfare discussion, including the pension, to that committee as a standing committee of the House, so that it will deal with that matter exhaustively, whilst we leave the financing bit to technical members of the House to help us with. So this is my submission on that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
You see, you know why Honorable Anodompe is running into the chamber. Yes. Let me listen to, you are part of leadership, so let me listen to Honorable Suhini, then I'll come to leadership.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement made by the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business. Mr. Speaker, I wish to first of all commend him for this laudable initiative. Mr. Speaker, however, I wish to remind the House that in the 8th Parliament, this same conversation was had on the floor, leading to you, Mr. Speaker, who was in the chair on that day, to instruct that a committee be formed for a similar tax. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the 8th Parliament died without any action being taken. Mr. Speaker, I can understand why perhaps little action or progress was made after the conversations which led to you instituting a committee. Because this conversation is a tricky one, especially for 7 members of Parliament. The assumption out there is that as members of Parliament, we are entitled to free fuel. We are entitled to free electricity. We are entitled to free water. In fact, we are entitled to free vehicles and free drivers. That's the expectation out there. And on top of that, we are paid huge sums of money at the end of every month. That is the perception out there. A perception that is very, very difficult to confront.
In fact, we are even told sometimes that we are fed breakfast and lunch, full chicken, when we work here. Mr. Speaker, perhaps it is because I have had cause to say in private discussions that if you are not naturally a giving person, if you are not naturally one who is willing to share whatever you have, it may be very difficult for you to succeed in politics, especially African politics. And so it becomes difficult for people to understand that the MPs desire to share the little that they have doesn't mean that they don't have. It does not sometimes illustrate their desire to make sacrifices. It rather points to a non-existent abundance. Because naturally, people will want to keep what they have for themselves and their families. And so if you stand as a member of parliament, and maybe by nature, by your upbringing, you are prone to giving, and you give so much to society, it is forgiving and forgivable for society to begin to think that you are giving that much because you have so much, when the reality is that it is just because you have elected to serve. And so it becomes an embarrassment in some cases, even when you fail to serve. And so whatever you will do within your limited resources to serve, you do it. Mr. Speaker, I have said that sometimes the lifestyle of serving members of parliament can be likened to, figuratively, a pipeline that transmits water into your house. The pipeline is deceived into thinking that it is full of water until the GWCL locks the tap. And then it realizes that it is just a dry pipe without water. And that's what happens to many members of parliament when they leave this place. In the course of serving, because of the opportunities that you have here, you may begin to even feel wealthy and look wealthy. But once that tap is locked, then the reality dawns on you. And like our senior colleague said, the reality only hits you, the one who feels it, not those who have been dependent on you, because they continue to think that you still have that opportunity to serve. And it is true that we have all faced it in our lives. You meet members of parliament, and sometimes the shameful request, I call it shameful because it is demeaning of their status, that they make of you will get you thinking about your future in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, I agree with the leader of government business and the majority leader that it is an important thing for us to do. And I hope that this time around, the committee will perform better than the one that was set up during the 8th committee. I'm confident that the leader of government business will lead this and champion it and ensure that it is done. Contingent, especially on the years of service that one may have, done in this house, contingent on age at which this pension can be accessed, and also contingent on, different sources of funding, including the contributions of members. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I agree with our senior colleague, Honorable Collins Dauda, that enough of the talking. Let's set the committee to begin work. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let me come to leadership. Honorable Attorney General wants to say something or no report, Secretary. NP. No report, Secretary. Yes, Honorable Minority Whip, I guess you were a member of the defunct committee.
Speaker, did you say defunct? The former committee? Yes, I was. I served together with the new road minister. I said with him. Speaker, thank you for recognizing me, and I wish to comment briefly on the statement made by our respected leader of the House. First of all, it will not be out of place for me to join colleagues to commend the leader for showing the way, except to say that we started this conversation in the previous parliament. Respect to you, leader. The conversation, we had it, myself and the former whip, is something we've been talking for a very long time with the blessings of the Right Honourable Speaker. To the extent that Parliament had to finance a trip outside the jurisdiction for us to learn of best practices. I think Kenya and Uganda. So we came back with some absolute feedback in terms of what we can do, especially to contextualize the concept because of the unique happenings we have in our country. And I'm proud to say that the report is ready. There's a lot in that report. Probably we will have to give the majority leader a copy of that report so that he can apprise himself. I want to humbly suggest that it's a shame we are having this conversation at this time. We are, from all the parliament we've had, and if you look into the Hansard, you see that this is not the first time we are having such conversation. The question has always been, how do we break the inertia to be able to make do of the intention? The intent has always been good. And we've always followed through to it. We've spoken to it a lot. We've lamented enough of the problems. Speaker, I won't go far. Just here, Burkina Faso. I was privileged to have met a number of legislators from that country. And I was amazed at how comprehensive they've been able to put these things together. Speaker, oftentimes we have prided ourselves first to sign a number of international treaties, first to sign a number of democratic endeavors. But these things have eluded us for far too long. And I can only commend the majority leader who, for the fleeting period we've had working relationship, he's shown some good class. Except that the chief whip is not. We are hoping that the other matters that they have to attend to, I'm hoping he will make good use of it. And we can feel the impact of my good friend, the chief whip. So this is a very, very important matter. Again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Speaker, Kenya, UK, Uganda, the experience is there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Again, at Uganda, we were amazed. Speaker, they passed the first legislation, they practiced it, they amended it to incorporate differences, and now Uganda have a whole secretariat dedicated for members of parliament pension scheme. And when we heard them as they made presentation to us, the volume of premium that they've been paying over the years, it will beat your imagination. It will beat your imagination. It's not too late for us to start the process, and more often than not, when these matters come up and we speak to it, we become a punching bag of the public. No. There are other professions in this country who have pension schemes. So what we are doing is not anything untoward. The teachers have their pension scheme, or the doctors, other professions who have their pension scheme. Members of parliament, is long overdue. We have to come together and give meaning to this good intent and turn it to a reality. Enough of the lamentations. Yes, the last parliament, Speaker, anytime we have to remember any of our members who have passed on, that the matter of welfare and pension will always come in, where we will speak, we put on the ashes and tear our clothes and lament enough, and yet we go to sleep. This day, we should change the action lines and give all the support and turn it to a reality. And this will be, leader, this will go as a feather in your cap. Of course, all of us will take pride in it, but you have blazed the trail and led the way, and all of us will follow suit. We in the minority will follow you and make sure we get this thing done as planned. So, but the point you made on carbon credit, I find it quite interesting. I don't know if it's something that, it's worth considering though, but there are other school of thought, there are other experts who say that because of the motion we had to go through as a country in the determination of the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, there are protocols that are established for the usage of the carbon credit fund. However, it's for us to decide as a House and communicate same to the executive. We are the controllers of the country's purse. If it is so decide, we so decide that in the interest of us and the interest of the representatives of the people, funding from the carbon trade should be rededicated to the welfare of members. Some portion of it should be rededicated. I think it's a welcome news and it's something we have to look at. Speaker, having said this, I know there was a proposal for the formation of some member committee. I don't know what the pleasure of the majority leader is, if it is about 6. So we will know, should we be, if it's 6, 2, 4, that's fine. I don't know what the criteria is, but I want to humbly suggest that on matters such as this,
it will lead to legislation. Because when we back this with legislation, then we'll be properly guided in how the fund can be assessed when one's opportunity comes to benefit from it. Mr. Speaker, even the United Kingdom that we borrow nearly everything from, they only began in 1987, and with what they call the Parliamentary Contributory Pension Fund. And after the 2010 Constitutional Reform and Governance Reform Act was passed, they then brought what they called the Parliamentary and Other Pensions Act, Constitutional Reform and other regulations, and made it effective in October of 2011. So that is the regulation that governs the pension fund affecting their MPs, both the lower house and the upper house. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, interestingly, Kenya began it before the UK. Kenya actually passed the first legislation sometime in 1983, and assent was given to the law in 1983, and the law became effective in July 1984. They subsequently, in 2012 and 2020, brought amendment to that legislation. And as recently as August last year, in 2024, they passed the amendment to bring some improvement to the law, so that, for instance, the office that handles the processing of the pension won't do so more than 60 days. They have only 60 days to process benefits when they are due. That's what the legislation, because one of the problems they were having was that when members are entitled, it took so long for the benefits to be processed. So the amendment was effected to the law to limit it to less than 60 days. Then, Mr. Speaker, you want to look at Tanzania. And Tanzania has a similar legislation in what they called the Political Service Retirement Benefits Act 2020 Cap 225. That legislation also mandates the Tanzanian government to pay benefits to MPs especially and other political office holders when they serve a minimum term of 6 years in office. Mr. Speaker, I scan other countries, and Canada also has a similar legislation. Mr. Speaker, under the Canadian regime, they are what they call MPs Retiring Allowance Act 1985. And under that legislation, any MP who served in the Canadian Parliament for 6 years or more is entitled to benefit from that fund. And what the law also does in Canada is that you can actually take an early benefit under the fund, especially when you are 55 years or more, and you have served 6 years or more in the Canadian Parliament. So these are pieces of legislations that can guide the committee that will be mandated to handle this matter and bring the report. Mr. Speaker, so with these words, I'm empowered by my leader to propose the following names to constitute the committee. The Honorable Collins Dauda, of course, will be a member. Yes. The Honorable Samson Ahi will also be a member. Then we are including 2 first-timers from our side, also gender balance. So the Honorable Ataisa, the member for Sanarigu, will also be a member. Then our sister, the Honorable Millicent Yabua Amankwa, will also be a member. Then the Honorable Suhini will also be a member. Then from our side, from the minority side, will be constituted by, of course, the Chief Whip, the Honorable Stephen Amwa, as well as Dr. Kabiru, my brother. So Honorable Frimpong what's the membership? No, you have 3. 4. Okay. Then also Honorable Frimpong Ado Frimpong will also be a member. So, Mr. Speaker, if we have your blessing, these are the proposed members of the committee, and because we are also to not leave out our former MPs, we are considering maybe appointing a former member of parliament to serve as a consultant in some way, so that the views and interests of members who have who agree. Yes, Honorable Kuto. 2 former members. We'll review. Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, once we agree on how many former MPs will include, will advise the name, so that this committee will be properly constituted to immediately move to deal with that matter. Mr. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity, and once again, Leader, thank you for bringing this matter to the House.
Honorable members, I think we will have to thank the Leader of the House to revisit this particular issue. Like Honorable Suhini said, last year, or the 8th Parliament, within one meeting, we paid tribute of, I think, 8 or 9 to our former members. 9 members of our former members of this House, we paid tribute to them just within one meeting. And that actually signaled us to look into our welfare. Because at times you listen to how they all pass away. Some of them are just basic things that they couldn't afford. And that is why we decided to look into our own welfare and how best we can at least satisfy ourselves when we retire from this chamber. So, Leader, let me thank you personally for revisiting this particular issue. And I think the previous report is there. They can just revisit it and add it to your committee and probably see how best we can quickly address this issue. I don't know the committee if we have to give them timelines.
Speaker, we want to give them an initial time frame of 60 days. 60 days. And we advise. There's an existing report. So we advise them with their terms of reference.
6 weeks.
And we also,
6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. 45 days. 45 days. Then we are also proposing that the Honorable Collins Dauda
be the
chairperson of the committee. Yes. So 45 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Speaker.
So,
yes.
Honorable Collins Dauda's committee, we are expecting a report within 90 days. Honorable Collins Dauda's committee.
Yes, it will be called the Collins Dauda Committee.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence to draw attention to a creeping development that I've noticed in the last 2 days. And if we don't address it, it may fester. My leader is one person that I've admired here. He's always been apt with his dressing, but over the last 2 days, I have seen he's not been properly dressed. Yesterday, he had dressed this house, dressed the way I am without a necktie on it, and today he's appeared the same way. I took a lot of cue from the way he dresses in this house. There are new members of the House who may follow suit. So I just thought I should draw your attention to that so that you can put it right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Whip.
Speaker, I thought I had a friend in my honorable member. In fact, we are related so well. This surprise is indeed surprising. However, Speaker, I will encourage my colleague to up his sense of fashion. I will encourage him to up his sense of fashion. Speaker, I am spot on.
Very spot on.
In fact, I have a dependable wife who always directs me in terms of what to wear to this house.
Very, very spot on.
And I have my able lieutenant.
Very, very spot on.
So I can understand him. He has been waiting for too long. The news is not coming.
It is coming.
He should keep to prayer. He should be praying and be fasting. The news will come. And Speaker, he should take a cue from the Honorable Ahmed. When the Honorable Ahmed name had not been mentioned, he kept to prayer and fasting.
And we helped you.
And eventually, the Honorable Ahmed's name came out. In fact, I sympathize with him a lot. He has been waiting for too long. And there are no signs. So, you should probably take a cue, and I'm sure for your dedication to this house, all of us are aware of your hard work on the Finance Committee. I'm not sure His Excellency the President will gloss over you, except that you have to keep to prayer and fasting. So I invite you to rule him out.
Honorable Dongo, well noted. We are concerns.
I'm sorry I have to do this. It's not about dress code, dress sense. It's about the dress code of the house.
Yes.
It is our dress code.
Your concerns
so
is well
it may
noted.
be nice if you wear it outside and you look funky, but when you come to this house, we have a dress code.
Honorable Dongo.
It's not about fashion.
Honorable Dongo, I'm saying your concerns have been taken notice of. So I mean, we will revisit this particular issue. I don't think we are going there.
Mr. Speaker, we are not going there. I just wanted to draw the attention of the honorable member for Bolga Central that it is not every shirt that you put a tie on.
Honorable member.
It's not every shirt you put a tie on. So that is look, this is a tunic shirt and you don't put tie on it. It's not every shirt you put a tie on. And he's properly dressed. The minority whip is properly dressed.
Honorable members, we will discuss this later on, please. So, leadership, any indication? Should we continue with my backbenchers? You are second time.
The chairman of the appointments committee.
Tomorrow.
The chairman of the appointments committee wants to lay some report, the 8th report, and then come back and take.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I intend to lay the 8th report, move the motion for the 8th report, and then come back to move the motion for the 7th report.
Why? Why do you want to move the motion for the 8th report before the 7th report?
Right, Honorable Speaker, a decision was taken and we resort to a negotiation, and that is being changed.
So that's the decision of the appointment committee?
That is so.
Okay, very well.
That is so. So the report for the 7th is being changed. A small correction is being done.
Then kindly give me a copy of the 8th report. I don't have the 8th report. You people don't go. Yes.
Speaker, with your leave and indulgence, just to find out from our respected leader of the House on a matter that was raised on the House floor by the minority side. Such matter relates to some concerns we have with the Ablekuma North election. I think back and forth, the leadership had been charged. Would you listen, please, with all respect? Leadership had been charged to follow up and to apprise members in due course. I know the majority leader has followed up and he has some news because our backyard is curious, very interested in knowing what the outcome is. May I seek your leave for the leader of the House, based on earlier engagement we had at Conclave, to carry the House along what has been done so far and what is left to be done so that we can all be carried along duty. Speaker, thank you.
Very well. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have some reports that I will present to you of the situation in relation to Ablekuma North. If you recall, last Friday, we had some unpleasant developments in the chamber, and the issue turned around the question of the declaration of the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I promised colleagues that I will go into the matter and see what we can do about it. Mr. Speaker, I spent the weekend actually investigating and engaging the various actors. I went to the regional police commander. I spoke to the persons responsible for elections on the side of the NDC, and I tried to reach out to some people at the EC. The issue that was raised in this chamber by our friends on the minority side related to some claim that the court had ordered that the police should go and provide armed protection to the Electoral Commission so that they can recollate the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I have cited the court order. There is indeed a court order that is supposed to have been executed before or on the 6th.
Sorry, ordinarily I won't do this. The leader just made a statement that the court order was to recollate. No, it was to complete the collation.
Honorable, let's at least once he flows, we will get to know all the.
Mr. Speaker, I will respect it for the record. It's important.
Yeah, so it was to complete the collation of the results of the constituency, and the police reported to me that indeed they went to the constituency, there were issues, so they relocated the coalition exercise to the Regional Electoral Commission office. The process continued, and they collated all the results except the results of 7 polling stations, and they needed the presiding officers to come and authenticate scanned pink sheets that both parties had agreed should be used for the collation exercise. 5 presiding officers turned up. They confirmed that the scanned pink sheets indeed were scanned pink sheets that they had actually produced. Somehow, one of them raised questions about an indication on one of the pink sheets that there were 3 rejected ballot papers. And the NDC side said, well, if the presiding officer is raising questions about some figure on the scanned pink sheet, then they will not accept the inclusion of that pink sheet. And so that led to some scuffle, and the police decided to postpone the completion of the exercise to a future date. So as we speak, 3 polling stations' pink sheet results have not been included. The pink sheets are scanned because both sides and the Electoral Commission don't have the original pink sheets. The results of the 3 polling stations put together can swing the elections in favor of either side. The results of the 3 can swing the elections in favor of either side. NDC could win or MPP could win. So it is crucial to take a decision on the 3 polling stations. They fixed a date according to the regional commander. He prepared his men to go and then supervise so the electoral commission will take a decision on the 3 and decide whether they are including them or not. But received a call from head office asking him to hold on because there was some engagement going on at a higher level. They didn't tell him at what level. So the police have always been ready to provide protection to anybody who is responsible for putting together or collating the results. There's supposed to be some dialogue going on. So I need a little more time because I want to go to the Electoral Commission, meet them and find out exactly what is holding them. Now, there was another allegation that the parliamentary candidate of Ablekuma North was attacked. I don't want to use this word in the chamber. For the PC of the NPP was attacked. So when I inquired from the regional police command, he said that there was no such attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. In my presence, he placed calls to the regional crime officer who said he didn't receive any such report. They called the district crime officer, he said he didn't receive any report. We asked him to check from all the police stations within that constituency to see if such a report was made to any of the stations, and it turned out that there was no such report of an attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. That is what I know for now, and I have conveyed the message to the Minority Chief Whip, and that is what he wants me to report to the House. I promise you that I'll go into the matter, and that is why I am going into the matter. Just to say that this House, as you know, has no mandate to go into electoral matters. This House has no mandate to go into electoral matters. All I can do is to try to ascertain the facts and report to you what the facts are. If the matter relates to the conduct of the police, then we could have invited the Interior Minister to, answer questions why the police is not complying with a court order to provide protection. But it is not the police. The police are ready at all times to provide protection. Indeed, the police co-opted the prison service, the fire service, the immigration service, all the services, they mobilized them in order to have the necessary troops to be able to provide whatever protection is needed. And so the police have done their work. The only issue is that 3 outstanding polling stations, and there's some dialogue going on. Let's just give them some time and see how the Electoral Commission resolves the matter. That basically is what I have for the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. Yes.
Speaker, not to belabor the point, safe to say that, let me appreciate the interventions of the Leader of the House and also add that as a suggestion, probably it will be appropriate if the leader works hand in hand with the minority leader. And also to appreciate that, yes, indeed, our locus in this matter, in terms of law, is limited. However, it's to show leadership. And colleagues, we have to understand that what has happened at Ablekuma can happen to any of us. They are simply shepherding the process and to ensure that what is right is executed eventually. In conclusion, I think Ablekuma, there are lessons that can be drawn from. Lessons that can genuinely be drawn from Domi Kwabenya. where on a number of the polling stations, pink sheets that were destroyed, the Electoral Commission used scanned copies. These are lessons that leadership can help, not to dictate to the EC, but also guide, so that eventually the EC can navigate and get these matters resolved. But just to commend my leader and to plead with him to carry the minority leader along this.
Other people. Honourable members, let me invite you to page 2. Page 2, item listed 7, presentation of papers. So let me invite the chairman of the appointment committee to present the report of the 8 report? Very well.
Yeah.
8th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointments as ministers.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. They are to be distributed to honourable members. Are we taking the motion of report 8 or report 7?